It was a chilly day in Covington, Kentucky, when police were called on a man who had frantically left St. Elizabeth Covington Hospital with an IV still in his arm. Officers showed up expecting to find Timothy Delahanty and bring him back to the nearby hospital, but instead they found the answer to a nearly 2-decade-old murder case that had long gone cold. Join us as we look into the unusual case of Timothy Delahanty. Before we begin, we would like to express our deepest sympathies to the family and loved ones of Paul Clayton. After 17 years of questions, they finally found closure. On January 21, 2024, police officers were dispatched to an overpass to find Timothy Delahanty, a man who had left the hospital in a rush but still had an IV in his arm. This led staff to notify the police department.
Can I get you to step off the ledge? Back up, back up.
Me?
Yeah. County, he's standing on the ledge over top the interstate sign. Can you jump back down off the ledge?
Use your PA. He said he'll go back to the hospital. He said take the IV out and treat them.
Sir, can you get off the ledge and come back to the hospital with us?
What do you need?
What do you need? We're here to help.
Come down off the bridge. Come down off the bridge. I'll talk to you.
Step down.
I can hear you. Come right down here and come off the bridge.
County, he's off the ledge and walking right now.
There we go.
I was going to hurt myself. I need you guys.
Delahanty may have been on the ledge of a bridge, but despite the officer's concerns, he had no plans to jump. He actually claimed he needed help from the police department. An officer put him in the back of a car while trying to ask a question. But that's when Delahanty made a statement that turned this stop into something much more significant.
You're free to go as far as we know, all right? What are you at the hospital for?
Well, I want to commit a murder. I want to confess to a murder I did.
Okay.
Ellesmere.
In Ellesmere?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to run you to the hospital. We'll talk there, okay?
I don't need a hospital.
Well, they need to take that IV out of here. Take it out.
I don't need to admit it.
What?
I just thought the Ellesmere Police Department a murder I did.
What?
I killed somebody in Ellesmere.
Okay, Tim, give me just a second. We're going to run you to the hospital. We'll talk about that there, okay?
Now, with the seatbelt or no?
The officer tells Delahanty they will talk about him wanting to confess to a murder when they get to the hospital. But on the car ride there, we learn why he left the hospital in the first place.
Hospitals are scary places.
Nah, it's a piece of air.
They being mean?
Huh?
They being mean or what they say?
Shit I didn't do.
Okay.
So they're gonna you?
Nothing to fucking destroy my body.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Tim?
Tim, we're not going to let him you, okay? We're just going to go here, talk about what's going on with his IV. Sound good? All right.
It's unclear why Delahanty thinks that the hospital staff would assault him, but it does explain why he left before they finished removing his IV. Once they arrived at the hospital, officers questioned him on where he thinks he left his bag. Timothy doesn't seem to care about it and instead chooses to elaborate on his earlier claim that he had committed a murder.
What do you think your backpack's at, man?
Huh?
What do you think your backpack is?
It don't matter. I think the Ellesmere Police Department, I'm going to confess to this murder, man. I think it's what it's all about.
Okay, what's your name?
Paul Clayton, I stabbed him to death.
How'd you kill him?
I stabbed him
Where at?
multiple times.
Where at?
From the body everywhere.
Who was there with you?
Everybody.
When did this happen?
I told the Ellesmere Police Department.
We'll have...
I was there when it happened. He was stabbed numerous times.
Okay. Do we ever arrest anybody on it? Do you ever arrest anybody on it?
The man Delahanty is referring to is Paul Clayton, the victim of an unsolved murder case from nearly 2 decades before this confession. Paul was found dead in a brutal scene inside his trailer in Ellesmere, Kentucky, a nearby town in the same county. The autopsy showed there were at least 43 stab wounds in his torso. According to his daughter, his body was mutilated so badly they couldn't have an open casket funeral. Paul Clayton was thought to have been killed sometime between November 30th and December 2nd of 2006. His body was found by his co-workers who showed up at his home because they were concerned that he hadn't shown up at work. Paul was 61 at the time of the murder. Now, back at the hospital, staff and police are able to convince Delahanty to cooperate long enough for them to remove the IV from his arm, and he leaves the hospital with the officers. At this point, if Delahanty hadn't confessed to murder, he would be free to go. Instead, he agrees to go with the officers to the police station for questioning. Upon arriving at the station, Delahanty sits down with Detective Nick Kleiss and is quick to open up about his motives.
I forget his full name, but he was, I lived at 59 Eagle Drive. They lived at 58, I think. They were just neighbors, and my mom knew bugs from Dayton back when they were kids and shit. They're around the same age. Okay. I remember just watching the Bengals game and just had this overwhelming fleeting thought to go kill Paul.
You were watching the Bengals game at your house?
Or yeah.
Your trailer?
Well, not mine, my mom's.
Yeah, your mom's trailer?
My mom's friend's name.
Okay. And you knew Paul from before?
Vaguely, like, not really. Like, he was 2 trailers down.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
And you just got this thought to go kill him?
It's like he's overfleeting thought from God to just go kill him.
Okay. So then you go down to his trailer and what happens?
He opens the door.
Okay.
I stabbed him in the stomach the first.
In the doorway?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I just didn't stop. So I was out of breath.
Right. What happened after you stabbed him in the stomach? What did he do? Was he still like in the entryway of the trailer?
No, he was over by the couch. Here, I'll tell you something the killer don't know. There's an orange juice jug in the kitchen.
Okay.
Right there, just flipped everything up. Plus, I stabbed him with like 3 different things. Strangled him with the fucking telephone cord. Fuck, he's probably already dead. I don't know.
Okay, so he opens the door. Where'd you get the knife from?
I always carry a pocket knife.
You always carry a pocket knife? Okay. So he opens the door, you stab him in the stomach with the pocket knife, and then he tries
to retreat, but I grabbed hold of him and just start sticking him multiple times.
Okay. What else did you stab him with?
I think a box cutter.
Box cutter?
The motive behind Delahanty murdering Paul Clayton is seemingly as vague as the reasoning for his confession. Not only did he randomly confess to a horrendous crime, but he also informed Detective Kleiss of details at the crime scene only someone present that day should know. Despite seeming remorseful, Delahanty was able to calmly and casually tell the story of the stabbing of Paul with 3 separate blades as he tried to escape, and even strangling him using his own telephone cord. The murder was anything but usual, and the gruesome tactics used do not match the tone Delahanty is using to tell the story. It's as if a switch was being flipped from savage to sane.
Or his was what, but I remember getting in the kitchen drawer and stabbing him one. Yeah, for no fucking reason.
So then, at some point a knife breaks and you go to the kitchen drawer and get another one and keep stabbing. How many times total do you think you stabbed him?
I have no clue.
More than 20? Like just a rough estimate?
Probably 50, 60 range, probably.
Okay. What'd you do after?
Timothy Delahanty seems to be a very impulsive man, not even knowing his own reasoning for things that he chooses to do or not do. He went and took a bottle of rubbing alcohol from Paul's belongings with the plan to set the body on fire. Instead, he decided not to. He claims he left rubbing alcohol next to the scene of the crime, which was another detail only the murderer would know. Delahunty then left Paul's house, but his impulsivity does not end there.
I was going to burn his body, but there was some rubbing alcohol, so it should be there near the body somewhere.
Did you clean up after?
Uh-uh.
Why would there be rubbing alcohol?
I was going to set him on fire.
You were going to set him on fire. Why didn't you?
I just didn't.
You just didn't. What'd you do when you got done?
Took his car to Cincinnati.
Took his car to Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do with it over there?
I'm just driving around with it. Nothing.
Where'd you leave it?
After the murder, Delahunty took Paul's car and drove north to Cincinnati, Ohio. A witness reportedly saw him in the car during this time, which made him a person of interest in the case. The 1996 Ford Thunderbird was later found in Covington, with a 16-year-old sleeping inside of it. The vehicle was allegedly rented to the teen by Delahunty, who was brought in and placed in a police lineup. The witness identified him, and Delahunty was arrested for possession of stolen property. He was 19 at the time of arrest. Despite being caught with Paul Clayton's car, he was never charged with any crimes related to the murder. After Delahunty's confession many years later, Detective Nick Kleiss has stated that he does not know why. With the questioning finished, Delahunty was taken to a detention center. After such a detailed confession, it should not be a surprise to learn that he had decided to plead guilty to the murder. Up to this point, Delahunty had been cooperative in the legal process, but he would soon reveal that violence was not something left in his past. On April the 16th of 2024, Delahunty was in the Kenton County Detention Center Recreational Court with another man who was also awaiting his own murder trial, 33-year-old Jonathan Maskill. Both inmates were walking around the court until Delahunty walked up behind Maskill and wrapped his arm around his neck. He strangled the man until he was unconscious, then proceeded to stomp on his head 7 times before officers could intervene. The victim survived this merciless attack, and an attempted murder charge was added to Delahunty's case. The case of Timothy Delahunty is unusual, to say the least. A killer who had gotten away with a brutal murder decides to turn himself in 17 years after the attack for seemingly no reason. He opens up about the crime, providing all of the details he can remember to the police. He tells the detective he killed Paul Clayton for no reason, and that it was just an overwhelming urge he could not resist. Despite all of this communication and cooperation, in June of 2024, Delahunty returns to the courtroom with a new attorney and requests to withdraw his guilty plea that he had made a couple of months before. He wants to pursue a lighter sentence and to go to trial, claiming his mental health was not stable. After some time, this request was denied by the judge, who stated that at the time of the murder, Delahunty had shown no signs of psychosis. It was ruled that Delahunty carried out the killing knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently. If the case had gone to trial, prosecutors stated they would have pushed for the death penalty or life without parole. In August of 2024, Timothy Delahunty was officially sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Paul Clayton and the attempted murder of Jonathan Maskill. But instead of accepting this and peacefully serving out his sentence, he had other plans. Hours after being sentenced, Delahunty requested a shower at the Kenton County Jail. He was led to the showers, but as a correction officer removed his handcuffs, Delahunty struck the officer in the face. Other corrections officers were close by and saw the attack, and he was quickly subdued. On March the 31st of 2025, Delahunty was found guilty of assaulting a corrections officer. Due to being a persistent felony offender, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Since he's already serving a life sentence, this will have no real effect on the amount of time he will spend in jail. Timothy Delahunty is a man whose motives cannot be fully understood, but he is a violent and impulsive man. Timothy Delahunty will live out the rest of his life inside the walls of the Luther Luckett Correctional Complex in Oldham County, Kentucky. He walked free for many more years than he should have, but eventually the truth came out.